The Executive Secretary of the UN's Framework Convention on Climate Change spelt out to the Globe Conference the importance of consensus on climate change in Copenhagen later this year that's linked to economic change.
We must get an agreement in Copenhagen at the end of this year to prevent climate change disasters that science has told us lie in wait for us. But a Copenhagen success would ultimately fail unless governments and lawmakers now engineer a solution to the economic crisis by rigorously creating the policies and levers, the markets and mechanisms, the institutions and regulations that will allow investors, businesses and citizens to make and take decisions that will build this new economy.
He also felt there was optimism for success for three reasons.
First, because we cannot fail. The cost to the future is too high. Second, the number of influential voices in civil society, investment, business and science are demanding exactly those changes that I've described. So it is by no means a question of legislating against the wind. Climate change is clearly in the mainstream. And third, because in the climate change process, the similarities between national positions are starting to outweigh the differences between national positions.
There were now 4 political essentials if agreement was to be reached.
Industrialized countries must commit to clear emission reduction targets towards the IPCC recommended cuts of minus 25 to 40% by 2020 over 1990 levels. So clarity on targets from industrialized countries. Second, developing countries, especially the major developing economies, must agree nationally appropriate plans to limit emissions supported by financial and technology support from the industrial world. And third, we must have clarity on large-scale, stable and predictable resources of financing so that developing countries can engage in mitigation efforts and also take nationally appropriate actions to adapt to the impacts of climate change. And fourth, an issue you've mentioned, we must have an agreed governance structure to manage and deploy this financial and technology support in a way that recognizes the developing world as an equal partner.
It will also require governments to take affirmative economic action.
First, rebuilding financial stability. Second, new job creation. Third, energy security and efficiency. And fourth, industrial restructuring towards a technologically superior and resource-efficient model. Every one of these priorities fits clearly and obviously into a new Green Deal.
The UN believes agreement on climate change in Copenhagen must be backed by governments creating a framework where future economic development is achieved in a sustainable way.